Willie D. Live.
Me and you had a conversation about same-sex relationships, and you had a very interesting point that you made about that when I was talking about, I'm the traditional man for man, a man for woman.
I was about to say, that ain't traditional.
Yeah, a traditional man for woman, right? Mm-hmm. And you said something to the effect of, how do we know that's the right way?
Mm-hmm.
How do we know? Or how do we don't know?
Well, I don't think there is a right or a wrong, especially when it comes to sexuality or sexual preferences. That usually stems from religious undertones and undercurrents that trickle all throughout our society, albeit Christian, Catholic, Muslim. Although Jesus never said a word about homosexuality. But aside from that, a lot of people say it's not natural because two people can't procreate, or two gay people can't procreate. To that, which I always respond is like, well, you have to define natural for me. And if you define it by the dictionary definition of natural, then it's, happenstance or things occurring in nature. And homosexuality is all in nature. There's animals all across the animal kingdom that participate in homosexual behavior. And so,
what animals participate in homosexual behavior?
Bunch, man. Dolphins, I think penguins, a bunch of them. There's a long litany list of them. Like, I don't have it pulled up. I'm easily.
Well, I've seen dogs, but I've never seen dogs do it. Like,
I'm unsure if dogs
like
do
females, but I ain't never seen a dog try to do a dog.
Male
or male.
I'm unsure.
Or female or female.
I'm unsure, but I know dolphins do. I know.
I ain't been around that many dolphins.
Yeah,
but maybe, yeah, I guess.
I mean, no, it's not maybe. It's true. It's not. I didn't. It's not my proclamation. You know what I mean? But it's all throughout the animal kingdom, and so that's the nature argument doesn't make any sense to me because, but it's always you go down like rabbit holes when you talk about homosexuality, because if you talk about nature and the animal kingdom, humans like to differentiate themselves from the animal kingdom. And that gets into conversations about evolution. And if we can't agree that we're animals, then we're probably not going to agree at all. But we are animals, and we're a part of the animal kingdom. We have transcended our environment almost. Well, in a sense, we create our environment. But yeah, I just think it's a natural part. I think your sexual preference is your sexual preference. It doesn't bother me none. It isn't about, like, I know a lot of the, especially in our community, it's like, man, well, the kids don't need to be seeing that. And I'm like, every gay person I've ever seen, I mean, I've never seen somebody gay who was like, I'm gay because I saw somebody else be gay. It's like, I've seen men kiss. My uncle was gay. Like, growing up, I saw men kiss. Not once was I ever attracted to a man. It's just not. I'm not attracted to men, and so I just deem it as like, yo, let people be. Like, it don't bother me. Don't bother you. Let people be.
What do you say to people who say, well, we can't just let it be because if we, for example, going down the path for specifically black people where there is a clear agenda. It doesn't seem to be an agenda. There is an agenda to effeminate black males, to emasculate black males. You see it everywhere you go. You even see it in the schools. You see a lot of this where they're trying to push the literature and bring in programs to tell kids that they can be this person or that person, however they feel like being. That's whatever they identify it, no matter what their age is, even as young as 4 years old, you can be that. And they actually are enacting laws to protect the kids to be that way and without informing the parents. So what do you think about that?
I would disagree. Two of my sisters are teachers. My ex-girlfriend's a teacher. I know a lot of teachers. There's nothing in the curriculum, a state-issue curriculum, that says make kids try to be more feminine. What they're doing is they're doing inclusive things. So they'll say they'll talk about sexuality, which I think is important to talk about. Why wouldn't we want to educate our kids about sexuality in general?
What's a good age to start?
That's a hard conversation, but I think that's subjective, and you're always gonna have people disagree with that. For me, I don't think you should show a child porno, right? I don't think that is what we're talking about. But I think if you're talking,
no, that's what I'm talking about. They're doing that.
They're not showing kids porn.
I'm telling you, man. I've seen it. I've seen.
They
got a book.
Mm-hmm.
They got a book right now that's in some of the schools. I mean, I'll show it to you after the show.
Yeah.
But there's a book.
No, Google that shit now.
There's a book out. Okay, we're gonna get it right now.
All right. Because I hear a lot of these arguments, and these are a lot of Republican talking points, which I know you're not a fan of, but a lot of these arguments are there's an agenda, there is this concerted effort to make kids gay. And I just disagree wholeheartedly with the premise. I think what's going on is they're including other lifestyles, and that makes people uncomfortable.
Sex education for 8 to 12-year-old kids. Mm-hmm. Book for good parents. Mm-hmm. Let's see where that is. Where is that at? I'm gonna find this school. 6. Hey, Memo, can y'all look that up for me? Look up that book. It's a book out there that talks about kids where they have this book in the schools where they're showing adults having sex, and the book is being distributed in certain schools. Look that up for me and let me know.
Homosexuality has been a part of our lineage as human beings since our inception.
You know what? You know what? You're right.
I agree.
You're right.
I agree.
You're right. I give you that. You're right.
So I think the issue always comes down to this, which I appreciate you conceding that, because the issue to me has never been about that. That's always they're trying to do this so that it's just the internet has brought people into other people's worlds, which they had no way of coming into. For instance, I'm online. I play this video game called Valorant, right? It's a shooter game, right? Ain't nothing but a bunch of teenagers and 20-year-olds on there, like just playing. It's like Call of Duty, right? Now I'm listening to them talk, and they say, "Oh, that's cap." They do. They talk like us, and I'm like, a part of me is like, why the fuck are they talking like us, right? But that's me not understanding the world I live in, right? I finally accepted the fact that the internet has given a window to the neighborhoods that we grew up in. The internet has given a window to the projects. Music has given a window to the projects, to where that they can peek in from the sidelines of how we lived, and then they can take the cool parts of our culture and use it however they want. It's just the world we live in. Now, what it's also done is it's given you a window into how people feel about sexuality. It's giving you a window to how people feel about a lot of different sexual issues in our country. And it doesn't make you comfortable. It's something that you're not used to. And while I grew up very similar to you, where it wasn't, to be gay was like, oh, bro, that's gay as hell. You gay, you fruity, you soft. I grew up in that same mindset. But what I realized over time was those cats was always there feeling like they talking shit about me, but they had no way to express it. What the internet has connected them and gave them unity and said, okay, it's time for us to start speaking out for and with each other, because this is hurting people. This hurts people. This is why you see a lot of high suicide rates in these communities, because they've been bullied for centuries. And they're finally getting a voice, and they're finally getting people to say, that shit hurts. It's not cancel culture. It's, yo, when you say this, it affects me. It shit bothers me. Just like when you dig back into old white people tweets and they say, and you see nigger this, nigger that, it's not cancel culture. It's just like, yo, you can't say that shit, dog. You can, but there's consequences, right? It affects people. And once those windows are started being open, there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations that people have to have. And this is part of it. We're just living in the middle of it.
Would you agree that at the very minimum that they are trying to break up the black family nucleus of man and woman? Would you agree to that? By putting this literature and stuff in the schools and telling these kids they can do this or be this, whatever they want, or all that type of stuff. And I don't think you spoke to that either. I don't think you actually spoke to this gender thing, where these kids are changing their gender,
right,
having the right to change their gender.
We can have that conversation too, but to your initial question, no, but it's not a hard no, but what I think it's just different. I don't think that they give a fuck. And what I mean by that is I don't think that they some evil scheming smart enough to plant sexuality and to have some arbitrary goal. I don't think that's the case. I think what's actually going on is what's always been going on in this country is that they want and need poor people to be poor. And race is an absolute factor in that. And it will always disproportionately affect black folks because this country has always slighted our communities.
And anything bad is going to have a worse effect on black people.
Yes, that's why they talk about environmental racism, food racism. It's because it disproportionately affects, even COVID, that disproportionately affected our neighborhoods because we live tighter and closer areas, whereas white folks demographically on general and average are more spread out because they have more land. So I don't think that it's a concerted effort. I think these people in this country, these politicians, these billionaires, these upper millionaires, they don't give a fuck about people. They don't give a fuck about us enough to have equity, to have equality. And so a lot of the shit that you see is a byproduct of them trying to suffocate people with resources economically through job opportunities. And so I think all these culture wars that we fight amongst it are fucking pointless. You're not gonna stop people being gay. Gay people being gay for I don't know how long. Before I used to study philosophy, right, in college. That's what I went to school for. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle. Back then, bunch of them dudes was gay. Bunch of them. Mm-hmm. You're never gonna stop people from liking men liking men, women liking men, and women liking women. If it's protection you're worried about, then let's teach and show kids how to properly handle weapons. Let's arm ourselves if that's the issue. But the culture wars don't do anything but divide. And I take you, are you a religious man? Do you believe in?
No, I'm a spiritual man.
Okay, but do you believe in the Bible?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a quote in there that I like.
I tell you what I do like. I do like the principle. I do like many of the principles.
I'm an atheist, but I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. And one of them is that quote unquote God said, "I'm not the author of confusion." And so I think that's a very powerful statement. If you want to uphold a community, then I think the strongest way to do that is to have tough conversations, but then move on and let's not divide. Let's not divide and conquer. Is that not what we try to avoid, and that's not what we've seen the oppressor in this country do time after time again, is divide and conquer. It's just divisive. Who gives a shit where another man sticks his shit? I don't give a fuck. As long as you ain't harming nobody, do your thing. Do your thing. But you can't tell me gay men can't protect. You can't tell me gay women don't have the desire. Like, it's just, there's just no data behind it. I think it's just culture wars to scare people and to divide us. We're already divided. Some of our greatest black leaders were gay. Some of the greatest black leaders were gay. It's like you can fight that fight and still like men. Don't got nothing to do with me.